Hello again, this is Chris. Now, I was having a look at the model, and one of the things I wanted to pay attention to is the fact that once the armour's on, we've got slightly less rotation than we should have. In order to get the rotation we need, the actual socket needs to be this far out. Now, we can fix this. This isn't really an issue. So, what I'm going to do is just hit F3. I'm going to go into this model here. Just have a quick look at it. Okay, I am going to just select by edge, just double select, then control select by polygon. Okay, and then I'm going to grow it just until it gets to a certain point, which I think should be about there. See? Okay, so where that piece is there. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to detach it. And you're probably wondering why. Don't worry, it'll make sense. So I'm just detaching this object here. Okay, and now I'm going to select everything in this object, this new one, as an element. So I don't want to select the actual object itself, I want to select the element that makes up the object. And then I'm going to drag it forwards to there, like that. Okay, now what I can do is I can basically use it to connect these two parts here together. So we've got quite a large amount of space here. I'm just going to unhide all, and we can see that with the armour on, you can't even see it. So it doesn't matter that I've got a big long space in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a symmetry on it. It's a nice clean way of doing this. I'll just flip like that. Okay, now right click, convert to editable poly. Now over here I'm going to attach the two pieces we need. So this one and that one get attached. Now if I grab these two borders and bridge them, I can also grab these two borders and bridge them, ideally. Oh, I see, I never took off the end there, did I? Hang on. So I'm going to need to take off the end of this one. So, just one moment. It's an easy way to do this. If I just select this edge here, control select by poly, grow, 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 a bit more grow, grow, delete. I can delete the inside part there, and then grab these two, bridged. Okay, so that connects these two fellas here together. So now we will have, actually this looks a lot better anyway with the size of these rotation drums, so to be honest I'm quite content with that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start refining the detail on these pieces. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a detail piece to come out on here. So I'm going to start with a cylinder. I'm just going to pull it out from here. And I'm just going to basically take some time, you know, relax, and maybe make a shape that's slightly more fun. Okay, because I haven't made a, you know, just a simple modelling, messing around piece for a little bit. So convert to editable poly, and I'm just going to grow it and then delete off the back side, so control I. Okay, so pivots in the right place and all that kind of business. Now what I need to do here is grab this polygon here and inset to around about there, and inset to around about there, and inset to around about there. Actually no, I'm not going to inset to around about there, I'm just going to start these bits. Okay, so now I've got these pieces. Actually I'll start here. I'm going to start bringing out some bits there, there, and there, and maybe here and here, like so. Now I can go straight into a bevel. Like that. Now, as you'll see from our bevel, it's made the shape a little bit peculiar, so rather than doing it that way, I'm just going to do a straight up extrude, like that. Then if I come into here, what I can do is I can do an inset instead, and I'll still have the control over my model that I didn't have before. So, just to demonstrate it in a moment. Just let it do its thing. A lot of this detail is actually quite simple looking when it comes down to it. There we go, insert. Actually not insert, outline, sorry. I always get the two mixed up. Okay, so that'll bring that shape in like so. Now these edges here, what I'll do is just double click them. And I only need to make this the once obviously, because I can copy it as many times as I need after this. There we go. So with those all done, I can now hit a scale. I'll scale them in that way if I wanted to. Another option that I can do that will work slightly better, now I think about it, is I can also chamfer it. If I just chamfer them completely like that. Now, go over here, Control A, just to select all my verts, and then weld them. It will destroy the verts that are all next to each other, while still giving me this rather lovely shape here, which I like. Okay, now let's go into this, and I'm going to do an inset. We've got such nice shapes going on here, it seems a shame not to keep using them. So I'm going to inset them again like that. And then here I'm going to go into a bevel, so I'm going to bring it straight up. Bring it there to about there. Bring it in. There to about there. Too much of an angle there. That'll do. And then straight in. Because we've got a little bit of depth we can be working with here, so we may as well use it. There we go. If I was in a cheating mood, what I'd probably do is I'd pull across my... Don't know if you remember Robot set. That was its name. It was a good set. It was built partly as a tribute to my friend Rob, and it's all about kit bashing. So what we do is we start with some basic forms, and we start with some engine parts, and just start to smash them all together until something cool comes. And it was a good set. I enjoyed making it, and the whole idea of it was, and I've made another set to kind of demonstrate it, that you can basically make just about anything you want using a kit bashing set. There we go, that's quite nice. But it's a bit of a cheat, to be honest, using it sometimes, so I'll avoid doing it too much. Okay, now I've got these all done, so I'm going to go into my select by edge here, and what I want to do is probably select any of my hard edges. So we can have a look around and you can see it's selected most of them. Actually that isn't too bad, that isn't too bad at all. So what I'm going to do is come in and chamfer these, but not much, just a little bit. See, that was a lot, so that's no good. Fortunately though, I can use my caddy. I don't know why they called it caddy. Well, I suppose I do if you've got a golfing penchant or whatever. There we go, click tick. Click tick for a sick trick. Now, what I need to do is go in here. I'm going to select these fellas. And don't be tempted to rush it. You may be thinking to yourself, I'm getting near the end of this tutorial set. Remember, I keep saying this to you. I'm getting near the end. This is the arm. Well, I've got some bad news. Firstly, we've got the weapon to do yet. Okay. Grow, control by edge. Okay. Secondly, you know, every bit you should treat with as much care as you have the time for. So now I can see there's some additional bits I'm going to want to deselect. So there they are. Now you can see them. Be pretty careful when you do these. I'll also select these in between parts. Just going around, generally refining this. Once this is done, you see, I can duplicate the shape, and we'll have quite a nice replicable part here. Replicable? Is that a word? It is now. There we go. Just pull that up. There we are. And there. Let's go around it all. By now you should have, to be honest, enough of your own skills anyway you've developed, hopefully watching this set, to continue what I'm doing. Bear with me, I've said this before, I often kind of go if I'm working on something and I don't want to lose focus. There we go, so we've got all these shapes here, so let's chamfer it, same as last. See how it softens the edge there, beautiful. So important getting a good chamfer in your model. Now we'll do these ones, that one, that one, that one, and this one. And maybe this little inside one too, just chamfer it. There we go. Hit F4 and come back, and we can see that it's not looking too bad actually. Not looking too bad at all. It's a little bit loose in places, but we'll work on that. I could even turbo smooth it now if I wanted to, although it'll look a little bit round in places. There you go, which is a much better shape. I think you'll agree. I think I'll use open subdiv on it then. So open subdiv, there we go. It's a much cleaner shape on open subdiv, to be honest. Now we've got that, so I might as well collapse it. And what I want to do is go down to my prop box, which I've been keeping on the floor for a while, so unhide all. I'm trying to work out whether it's worth bringing some of these parts up, and it probably isn't. Bringing it all up, and it probably isn't. I'll just bring up the parts I need. There we are, next to the arm anyway. Obviously things are starting to get a little bit more slow simply because there's a lot more going on in the model than there was. So, hide unselected. Just make sure hide parts you're not working on, and you won't get quite as much slowdown on your model. I didn't get it all there. Did that bit too. Hide unselected. So I want to make sure this bit looks okay. Right, so placement tools, object paint, and a little list. Start picking. Okay. Zoom in on that. What I'm going to do now is paint objects on list. Yep, that's good. Okay, so I want my detail end cap first, which I'm going to paint just about there. And yep, that works. Now I'm going to go for my simple rivets. Hit F4 so I can see what I'm doing, because there's some places here that will basically just allow me to draw them straight on, like that. Let's go around the model. And then I'm going to right click out and make some smaller rivets for the outsides. So, going at that. Right click, Change my scale now down to maybe 20, so it's even smaller. And go back to paint on. And we should be able to see it, just go there. And it's aligning it to it really quite well. Oh, was that the right one? Yes, it was. So I'm just being careful to make sure that I've got the right edges being selected. And then when this is done, I can apply this to all areas that need it, either using the placement system or using just, you know, copy and move. So whichever one you prefer really at that point. There we go. Hit F4 and have a look at it. Oh, that's okay. Okay, come into perspective. Close that down. Make sure everything's deselected, it should be, and then right click, convert to editable poly. Hit F4 and I'm going to start attaching these fellas onto this. So, and I've got to be careful that I don't attach the back. So I'm keeping an eye on that, like one eye occasionally drifting over to have a look. Because it's easy to go like that. And there's no marquee attach, unfortunately. It'd be nice if there was, but there is no marquee attach. Ooh. Right. Go around. Like that. Been considering making a time lapse of this and see if I can get the entire build down to like 1 hour. I don't know, I'll see if I can. Probably can't though, because the time lapse would be so damned fast, wouldn't it? Right, so there we go, that's the piece there. Yeah, okay, that's not bad. So, what I'm going to do now is, I'll keep those there because I'm going to need them. I'm going to make myself a copy of this, and I think I'm just going to flip it over. Then bring it all the way back to here, so that it just basically goes through the model, like that. Okay, that works. F3. Yeah, it's in the right place too. Right, now just open up my tool menu thing there, and I'm going to change this back to 100 and just do some painting on, and you'll see we've got our simple rivet there. See if we can start painting with it, because it seems to be painting on the floor all the way over there at the moment. Rather worryingly. Let's see, paint with object in list, painting on scene, painting on selected objects. I think it'd be a better idea. Yes, it would. Okay, so I'm going to put one here, and here, and here, and here. I'm going to change this to my detailed rivet end cap, pop that there, and there. Now over here, I'll get my simple rivet again, and have one in the middle there, and there. Maybe one there, and there. It just breaks up the shape nicely. On the outside, one there. And again another one there. Okay, so I'm going to grab these two first. Right click, convert to editable polygon. These are the first ones I want to do. and I'm going to attach these two together. Now I'm going to affect their pivot, and with their pivot I'm going to align it to this. There we go. Now that means I can rotate them, holding down shift. So 20 means I'm going to make 17 copies. Bam. And that's a lot. That looks like too many, doesn't it? Okay, so let's move it to 40. Okay, and that means I'll only probably need to make, what, 7 copies? Well, 8 copies it would have been, but you know, close enough. Alright, now what I can do is attach these together. And I'll attach them to this actually. Hit F4 so I can see what I'm doing. Remember, do not attach unless you're sure and have like undos turned on. Okay. As you see though, it does give us a lot more lovely detail. Okay, next. I'll just right click out of that, hit F4, just have a look at it. It's looking nice. Probably before I attach those, now I think about it, I need to take one of these, move it over here. Now I can attach the other ones. Check the other side as well. Okay, now take this. My front viewport first, let's get it lined up. Top viewport, zoom. There we go. We're going to get a little bit of, what do you call it, intersecting going on. The question is whether or not the end user is going to see the end intersecting. Ideally they're probably not going to, so if they do I can always remove the remove the part. Oh, good God. Sorry about that. Been working a long time today. Now then, flip this over. Okay, bring this over to here. Okay, make sure there's not too much of a space underneath it. There we go. Now, back into perspective, and we can select this and start painting on it. Again, I'm just using the 100%, so for size. Put some rivets in. Get some riveting. Mr. Bond. Don't know if you know the story, by the way, of Sean Connery and why you don't see him in film anymore. But what happened was he was offered, basically he was offered work, right? He used to get offered work all the time, and he was always quite selective and picky about his work. So anyway, this one time he got offered a job, basically playing a wizard, and he thought it sounded a bit crap. So he thought, sod it, I'm not going to bother with that. You know, it doesn't sound like much of a career choice, wandering around the mires with, you know, wandering around New Zealand with a bunch of guys dressed as elves and stuff. He thought it sounded a bit gay, so he didn't do it. Probably for the best, really, considering what a misogynistic, like, woman beater he turned out to be. Anyway, of course, that turned out to be The Lord of the Rings 1, 2 and 3, and then The Hobbit 1, 2 and 3, and he turned it down. So he was more careful when it came to, you know, being offered stuff after that. So he was offered a script and he kind of went, oh yeah, I'll definitely do this one. And it turned out to be the script for bloody, what do you call it again? League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which was a massive, massive pile of crap. And of course it did horribly, and that was his last film. So it's unfortunate really when you consider that, you know, Connery was a bit of a legend in, you know, acting and all that kind of bit, especially if you've seen Zulu and some of his other films that aren't James Bond ones. But yeah, he turned down Lord of the Rings and instead went in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which says everything really that you need to know. That's quite nice. Okay, hit F4 again. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do some swifty loops. There and there, and one there and there. There we go. Now I'm going to go in these, just using my select tool. Just make sure I've got the equal amount here on this side. Okay, and just extrude them down and in. And as I've got them extruding by local normal, that shouldn't be a problem. Now, start selecting. I only do whip shots, by the way. If you're wondering why I haven't seen like many work in progress shots for what I've done here so far, I only do work in progresses when I get to a point where I think, yeah, that'll look okay. You know, and at the minute the arm mechanism was pretty primitive. There's no smooths on it or anything, so I didn't bother. Right. Now I'm going to chamfer this edge just a little bit. Just give me a little bit of hardness around it. There we go. Not too much though. And I want to have a look at what Open Subdiv does to this. It's not bad, although there's some quite loose areas. Might need to have two Open Subdivs on it, to be honest. Okay, let's take Open Subdiv off for the moment. And what I'm going to do is just refine these edges using swift loops. So there's one just there, and that way we don't lose the definition on the edges here. There. And a second. Ooh, cold coffee. There's a teeny bit left in the bottom of my cup. Oh wow, that was quite impressively horrible. Nice. God, I do love coffee. Anyway, like I say, it's worth doing this bit properly if we can, so I think what I'll do is I'll isolate this part actually. It's a lot easier when you isolate parts. Okay, go to swift loop. Just go around it all. Just make a nice shape. I mean, this is going to be quite a visible piece. I mean, a lot of it's going to be hidden, don't get me wrong, but it's still going to be quite visible, so in fact, I think what I'm going to do for this, just hide that for the moment, is go to my viewport, which is split here, zoom, and I'm going to make a quick copy of this. That's obviously a reference that I can stick Open Subdivision on. Maybe stick 2 iterations onto it. There we go. Right, so now I can see basically what's happening over here and what a difference things are making. I mean, there's a lot of mess on the inside of there, but we'll deal with that in a minute. Right, let's come over to here, and I'm going to grab these. And just do a very small inset, and that'll sharpen up the inside edges there a little bit as well. Now, over here, just want to refine the shapes. So I'll just turn off this, yeah, and that. Okay, and swift loop again. Just to make sure I'm in the right piece. I'm not worried about losing some of the curvature necessarily. I just want to make sure that I basically don't get my shape ruined as much as possible. So just kind of strengthen these edges a little bit. Old edge loopy thing can be a little bit tricky sometimes, as I've said before. There. Okay, so getting all these together. Come back again. I think I'm upside down at the minute. Here I am. There we are. Okay, having a look at this one. Okay, so I've got to fix these edges here next. So I'm going to swift loop in there. There, and there. So this will start to define these edges. And here. There we go. Now then, I've got edges going around the bottom, I think. There, yes I have. I just want to keep the definition on these as much as possible. I'll undo that last bit, didn't really do much. Now over here, and I think rather than open subdiv actually, in this case, I'll stick turbo smooth on and see if that does a different job. Actually, yeah, turbo smooth's doing more of what I want than the other one was. Okay, I'm just going to come in here then. Strengthen these edges. There. If we go into here, let's press inset, sorry, outline, there we go. Pardon me. I'm still not sure whether or not I'm even going to apply turbo smooth. I probably will though. There we go. And now I'll collapse that. Makes it a little bit easier for me. Right, let's have a look around this. I'm just going to get rid of its friend now because I don't really need it. Let's look at the shape. Yeah, that works. Okay, so end isolate. Like so. You can see the shapes coming along quite nicely now. So I'm going to stick on a turbo smooth. Just the one, I think. See how it does. No, not bad. How many polygons is that? Some. Let's stick on many. There we go. Really get it smoothed out. Convert to editable nonsense. And now if I go into my object paint again, and I'm just going to paint on selected and get my list up. So I'm using simple rivets for this part. One can go there. One can go in here. It's amazing the difference just throwing a few of these nice big flipping rivet things on can do. It just really brings your model, you know. Beforehand, these little hanging over parts, they just didn't work for me at all. But I knew that once it came to the placement system time, they'd look great. So, and that's not conceit. It's just I know that they're going to look okay once I've got these parts on. I can put these in here, like that. And again, it's like allowing me to have these pieces that are interesting. Okay, now at the back, you can see a lot of jaggies going on here that I'm probably going to have to fix. There's a couple of interesting ways that I can use to fix these, so don't be too worried about it. Also, there's the fact that we're never ever really going to see them anyway, but I'll fix them because that's what I do. Okay, so come back into this, have a good look at it. It's looking okay. You'll notice the shadows around here and here disappear. It's just to do with the thing. Now, close that. I don't see the point of putting too much stuff on here because it'll just make a mess. Now here, I'm going to take my pivots. I take pivot only and align my pivot to this, obviously. Now I can rotate it 40 and 8 times. There we go. And now I can duplicate them. Now, if I just get my attachment tool ready, I can go straight in. And do this. Now remember, you can keep these separate if you want, okay? That's not an essential thing to be doing. You don't have to attach them all to your model. You could just use links. But I do just because, you know, it makes it easier for me not having too many things in my hierarchy. Okay, that's cool. Now over here, if I just isolate this again, so isolate selection. Am I still attaching things to it? No, good. Okay, so I'm going to isolate this, and I want to do some repairs, okay, because there's some really dirty parts of this model that need to be sorted out. So I'm going to select here and here, just click grow, and again, and again. I mean, look at it, you can see how hideously messy it is around there. It's all kind of going over those parts as well, so it's not nice. Now I'm going to grab this and just hit delete. Okay, and that'll separate off these parts. Now I can do here. And round here. Okay, now I'm gonna. I can't really take those parts away there. If you notice, it's not really a loop. So I'm gonna come over here and do it instead. Just wait for autosave. Saviour of 3ds Max is autosave. Ooh, bought some chocolate brownies in the other room. I might have one in a minute. Just think, if it wasn't for the fact that you're not here, you could have had one too. Right, delete that. Like so. And what I'm going to do, to be extra cunning and not make a horrible mess this time, is I'm going to select that, just cap it. Okay, because this is just sitting on top of it anyway. So what difference does it make? Now over here, I'm going to make a cylinder. Like that, and end isolate. Left viewport, zoom. Front viewport, zoom. Just now. It's kind of lined up where I need it. Get to a shape I want. Okay, drop in perspective and zoom. And convert to editable poly. Just so that I can kind of simplify this part a little bit and at the same time add some new bits to it. So the point in this is that I can now have this one, and when this part rotates, you see that'll rotate with it. So it's up to you if you want to go for that or not, but that's an option. I'm trying to decide whether I want that or not. Nah, so I'll keep it the way it is. Saves time anyway. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, select this, select this, and select this, and I'm going to do a smooth on them. So, what am I doing? It's over here. Smooth. Auto smooth. Take to 24.5. Weird, baby. And just make sure it still does its funky thing, which it does. Okay, next. Go to my front viewport here and zoom. Just go here and have it selected. Top viewport zoom. I'm going to just drag that out. Click OK. So now I have a copy of it and all its little friends, which I can now move into here, and I'll just see how far out I have it. Literally the same distance, so that's cool. And that gives us our two mounts there and there. Okay, now if I unhide all, hit F3, F4, we can see our little fella here is coming along pretty darn nicely, and not bad for just, you know, a couple of hours work, if that, getting the arms together. I know we haven't got the weapons together yet, but we're getting there. Next part, arm shields. Bye bye for now.